everybody, and welcome in. It is Three Guys Before the Game, episode number 591, and the title assigned by the use of artificial intelligence is Win-Win Weekend. Indeed it was.
Key on artificial.
Yes, very artificial. Artificial indeed. Mountaineer basketball teams victorious. Niagara just turned it over to the women's team. 421 turnovers
just
in one
here.
game. Unbelievable.
Let me hand it to you.
Tough day.
Mountaineer man's team
Niagara Falls.
defeated the UMass Minutemen. We'll talk about that. And the Mountaineer footballers knock off the Cincinnati Bearcats in Cincinnati. And just as this podcast predicted on Thursday when we did our game preview, it would be the defense that wins the game.
Did we? Don't go back and check.
Is that what we said, Brad?
Something like that.
That was close to that.
I thought I had the defense scoring 3 touchdowns, though, not 2. I missed that.
Yeah, you missed it. The over. I mean, it was 2.5 was the over/under on that thing.
We will bust into the numbers. How's that all make sense? We'll figure it out. Three Guys Before the Game is brought to us by Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. By Gomart. Get a Gomart rewards card and immediately begin to rack up points, which saves you money. Now that is a good deal. Go to Gomart.com or download the Gomart app. Three Guys brought to us by Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. By Tudor's Biscuit World. Start your day the Three Guys way. Start your day the homemade way with a Tudor's biscuit. And by Conley CPA Group, providing value beyond numbers. All right, court is in session. We record on Sunday morning, and let's face it, it's always easier to pop in to do this little gab fest after a successful weekend. And as I just said, it was. Mountaineer sports teams had a really good weekend. We'll bust into those. And in addition, we've got the Mountaineer soccer team in action, Sunbelt Conference tournament later this afternoon. So we wish the guy that Hoppy hired, Dan Stratford, the head coach of the team, a successful postseason run.
I talked to him this week. Had him on my public affairs
did
program.
you really?
Yeah, after they won the regular season title in the Sun Belt.
Did you hear that, Brad?
I did.
Hoppy had Stratford on his politics show.
Mm-hmm.
I was happy to get away from politics for a while and talk a little soccer, talk a little 0-0 to win the conference championship.
Dan, please talk to me. Just please talk to me. All right, boys, let's jump in. As if you're a regular to this program, you know we don't talk at all before we start recording, and it makes for, I don't know, interesting theater, perhaps. But as one person wrote in the last episode, that it's kind of like watching a Three Stooges episode. When they're handling a bomb, you don't know when it's going to explode, but you know that it will explode.
Yeah,
so I thought that was just a wonderful analogy.
Yeah.
We've got textual healing coming up, plus we've got some information in regard to a Three Guys event that will be coming up later this month. So let's do this thing. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm just waiting.
Okay. I'm going to kick it to you now and start off with Hoppy's obvious observations. Hoppy's obvious observations are observations that absolutely anyone could have made or come up with. And so they're pretty obvious, but Hoppy gets to say them out loud.
This is a great moment for me because I get to make the most obvious observation ever. Brad, do turnovers matter?
A little bit.
Yeah. Here's a macro, though, before I get to that. And Brad, I'm looking forward to Brad's stats because here's a game where if you took some of the top-line stats, you would say, wow, they didn't matter because the other stat, turnovers and field position, matter. Think of the macro here. You change defensive coordinators. You went on the road, a conference opponent, a backup quarterback. The odds makers say you're anywhere from a 3 to 5 point dog in this game, and you win the game in a rivalry game as close as you get to a rivalry game in the conference right now. So there are about 4 or 5 or 6 boxes you can check just from the macro. In the micro, and I'll leave the turnovers to Brad, but my goodness, not only do turnovers matter, but when you are opportunistic on turnovers, that's not just a turnover, but a scoop and score and a pick six. I mean, that is the ultimate benefit from the turnover. The defense, and Steve Dunlap, former defensive coordinator, talked about this in our coverage. He saw improvement in the defense. He saw mixed coverages. He saw lining up one way, and then when the ball was snapped, shifting to something else. So good job by the defense. It had to be on the field, by the way, for 79 plays.
A lot of slugs.
79 plays they had to be on the field, and the defense stepped up and won the game for you. And Brad, you talk about a lot is, can guys make plays? Can somebody step up and make a play? How about Trey Lathan? Okay, on putting the pressure on the Cincinnati quarterback when he threw the ball behind him. How about Trey Lathan making a play? How about KK Tarnew making plays? How about Anthony Wilson making plays? How about Reed Carrico with a strip? How about Nico even though he did not have a very good game statistically, made a couple of big plays? How about Pac-Man Fox on returns? How about Oliver Straw? Mm-hmm. As a weapon, punting that ball deep into territory to give you field position. So there were a number of guys who just stepped up and made plays for you in that game. Yeah. Those are my HOOs.
Nice job, Hop.
Thank you.
Very obvious.
Yeah.
Really good win. I mean, just a good win. You're now the only team in the Big 12 that's undefeated on the road.
Wow. Excuse me? What'd you say?
3-0 on the road.
What?
Only Big 12 team that's undefeated on the road.
Interesting.
I'm sorry, BYU is too.
Boy,
that's right. Oh, my goodness.
How about that one?
The athletics director of Utah was not happy.
3 teams.
Wait a second. Strike Brad's comment from the record, please.
Re-record. Start over.
Yeah. We're the only team east of the Mississippi that is undefeated
those
in
two
Big
were
12.
Late. Yeah, those two were late last night. I made that note during our game yesterday, during our coverage. BYU, by the way.
Can I go off topic?
Yeah.
Of course you can.
How about what's going to happen at Utah?
I'm going to have them pay a little fine.
Ooh.
AD took the dais.
Heard that.
Said they weren't happy to be in the Big 12.
Now, the commissioner of the Big 12 Conference, he was right next to me.
He was at Cincinnati with
you. He was right next to me, next booth over.
Yeah.
I looked up there a couple times. They went to replay. I was wondering if he could maybe help us out a little bit on some calls. He did not show for the second half, by the way, but the food was still in there. Hope no one went in there and took any of that food out of that suite. That would be the wrong thing to do.
Somebody probably should have done it. It was already paid for, so you don't want it to go to waste, of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I'm not here to talk about BYU and
But
officiating.
anyway, I do think there's going to be an explosion tomorrow. The league has to do something. An athletic director cannot go to the official post-game press conference, sit at the table unannounced, sits down and rips the officials and questions their status in the league. They didn't want to be in to begin with. The guy loses his mind. So I did a deeper dive on that.
Oh, good.
By the way, he knew he was going to get fined. He was willing to take the fine.
Yeah.
ADs have done that in the past. You want to get a message out there, that's the way you're going to send your message. You know it's worth the $25,000 fine that's
It's got to be more than 25.
We'll see.
Got to hammer him. But anyway, apparently he's not a beloved AD because people, the Utah people that I was reading down on the messages there, they say basically guy knows he's a done dude.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So anyway.
Was it a bad call?
He came from
Was
South.
it a bad call?
It doesn't matter. No, who cares? No one calls into our show, texts our show, and says, sorry, you got hosed by the officials. So if somebody got hosed by the officials on another team, okay, so be it. Let's talk about the win.
I'll make one other observation.
Hurry up, because I don't care that BYU won. I don't care that Utah
fine.
lost. I don't care that they
So
got
that
screwed by
crew-
officials. Don't care, Kurtzville, because nobody cares when it happens here. So I do not care that Utah's losing their mind. Don't care. Sorry.
To my point.
Sorry.
To my point. That crew has worked 2 of our games this year. Okay? They were here.
No.
They were here, and they made – I don't think it's the referee. I think there's some people on that crew that are having a bad year. That's all I'll say. Okay. Go ahead, West Virginia.
Really remarkable.
Is this spreads on stats?
No, we'll get into that a bunch. Just really good road win. 2 back-to-back road wins that you pick up. And this team, again, has impressed me with the ability to shut out noise, to shut out external things off the field, whether it's head coaching, who should be coached, we got fired, whether it's a defensive coordinator being changed. This group has, again, showed an ability to step up and do what they had to do. The change in how this defense played really was remarkable. They did a tremendous job. Your point on the on the pressure. That was a big difference. And
Yeah.
there were multiple guys, and you even left one out there that might have had the best game of any defender, and that's Fatorma Mulba.
Yes,
and we'll get into some of
unbelievable.
his numbers in a minute. So you can go down the list, and that happens in wins. I get it. You could hand out 8 to 10 game balls in games, and you could in this situation. They just did a fantastic job, and it was a day in which you needed the defense to win you the game. The offense struggled. Cincinnati's defense had you bottled up. You weren't on the field for very many plays, and a lot of that was due to how well your defense was playing and the 2 scores that you got defensively. But defense and special teams won you the game, and during the course of a season, that happens. Sometimes you're going to play both units well. Sometimes the offense has to carry you. This was a game where defense and special teams carried you, and it was an impressive effort given what we'd seen from that unit all year and given what was going on surrounding that program over the last 9 or 10 days.
Absolutely.
Tremendous win.
Yeah.
Quite remarkable in that category. You're absolutely right. And you alluded to Fatorma Mulba. That's got to be a school record. Show me the last nose guard that had 13 tackles. That's 13 tackles for a nose guard.
It's like 39. It's like dog
It's
years.
like 8 games.
That's not even your job.
That's no.
Yeah, right.
That is one of the most amazing performances I've ever seen in my life. 13 tackles for a middle linebacker would be a great day.
Yes.
For a nose guard, he might have made some money yesterday.
He probably should have made some money. That was an unbelievable effort in a game that had a lot of unbelievable efforts from individuals. That one was really, really impressive. And you threw KK Tarnu in there. Don't overlook that either. Guy
was
being
everywhere.
put into a new position that caused the first interception, that ridiculous throw by Sorsby. I don't know what he was thinking,
It's a good throw.
but thank God he did. Right, but that was caused because Tarnu was bringing him down. He was trying to prevent the sack. That turned into a massive play in the game. So KK showed up in a couple of different places, and it was doing multiple things. That one was on a pass rush. The other one, Corey Kiner had that leap, and Tarnu was right there to meet him head on, knock him out of bounds short of the first down. That was a big boy hit right there. So credit KK Tarnu as well as a guy that stepped up and played. And there's others, and we'll go down the list of some others as we move on. But multiple performances individually and then obviously collectively really good.
You know, these guys, these running backs or receivers, whoever wants to hurdle, they might want to start second thinking that, right? A second thought on that, because it's starting to become a little bit more normalized. And when you put yourself up in the air like that, those helmets hurt. You know what I mean? I mean,
it was a heck of an athletic play. He was up.
Your legs are about this high, and that helmet's about this high. There's some body parts in there that don't need to get hit by a helmet. And you're putting yourself at great risk for doing that.
Yeah, but he had no choice. He was going down if he didn't. And he was stopped for a tackle if he didn't go up over. So he wasn't getting anywhere.
3 guys before the game, brought to us by Gomart. Did I tell you about this one? You can unwrap sweet rewards with Gomart this holiday season. Stock up on specially marked M&Ms at Gomart and enjoy double the sweetness during Merry Madness. Plus, with the purchase of each of those products, you earn bonus points and game tokens. Get all 4 of the tokens before December 31st. No limit how many times you can do it. Visit Gomart app or gomart.com to learn more. M&Ms. Can't have enough of those. Basketball game the other night. Gentleman came over, tapped me on the shoulder before the game, gave me a 2-pound bag of peanut M&Ms.
I thought he gave us that bag. Where'd those go?
They're gone now.
Are they here?
No.
I guarantee you.
See, he keeps the food even when I'm sitting right there, and the guy
that's
says,
right,
"Here,
you
you
were
guys
right
go."
there.
I was sitting right next to him. He just took it and put it right in his bag.
They were shared. They were shared.
You crushed them on the ride home.
Flight of Cincinnati.
Yeah, they were not shared with where they were intended to be shared.
Jeez.
So start par for the course.
Just know that, folks, going forward, just know that when you give it to Tony. And just fine, you can give it to Tony.
Well, that's based upon the assumption that
Just know that.
based upon the assumption that he was giving them to Brad. He was probably giving them to me since he's given them to me in the past. But anyway, that's
Not what he said.
It's a whole different story.
Jeez.
Whole different story.
We know. We know now.
Check
the numbers.
Boy,
Let's
this
go
will
right
be
to the numbers.
great on stats given what we had.
Oh, yeah.
Let's jump into the analytics portion of the show. Ready? Yeah, 5, 4, 3.
Spreads on Stats is brought to us by Conley CPA Group. Outsourcing accounting, they can do that for you. You don't need to have a full accounting staff. They'll outsource your accounting for you. You don't need those extra people in your building
Why, did you just lay off people there?
taking off, putting extra stuff in the refrigerator, crowding it all up. You don't need those extra bean counters there. Let Conley CPA do it from afar. Outsource your accounting. and your CFO services. Whether you want to outsource your accounting operation or supplement what you have inside to doing your accounting, they can do it. They can free up your time so that you can run your business, remove the stress associated with hiring staff. And this way you don't have any turnover, right?
Yeah.
You don't have any turnover. Hey, we're going to be leaving. No, you're not. It's okay. I got Conley. They're taking care of the accounting. See you later. Conley CPA.
Not going to be here tomorrow. Not feeling well.
Yeah.
Tired.
Need a comp day because I worked 6 hours.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen.
Senator, how you doing? Is football first, then hoops?
Yeah, we'll do football first.
Okay.
All right, let's dive in. Let's start with defense. Let's start with turnovers, Hoppy, because that was the key to the game.
Mm-hmm.
So to recap where this defensive unit had been up to this point and why there had been struggles in certain games, we've talked about this many times. Offense was committing more turnovers than it had last year. Defense wasn't gaining any. In fact, only 3 Power 4 teams had fewer interceptions than West Virginia heading into yesterday's game. Only 3 Power 4 teams. West Virginia had just 3 on the season. They not only got one, they returned it for a touchdown. Pretty remarkable there. Only 9 Power 4 teams had fewer fumble recoveries heading into yesterday's game than West Virginia had. They had 3 on the season, did the Mountaineers. Got 2 versus Cincinnati. 1 goes for a touchdown.
Scoop and score.
So just those basic numbers right there just totally flip you a game. So turnovers will and continue to be the number one key to the game. So whenever we talk about other keys to the game, always know it's assumed turnovers, given and taken, are number one. The pressure you mentioned, Hoppy, I thought was really impressive. And there's not necessarily a number here. This is just multiple guys. KK Tarnew, Tyron Bradley, Lathan you mentioned, French, Sean Martin, Jackson, all with pressure plays.
Wow, yeah.
To get into the quarterback and disrupt. So pressure was increased and really well done. There was a stretch of 8 consecutive drives for West Virginia's defense where they allowed no points after the opening touchdown. 8 consecutive Cincinnati drives with no points. Guys, the previous best had been 4 drives on the season against Oklahoma State and Arizona. 8 consecutive drives. You handled your business on the defensive side. You mentioned the end of the game and how many plays, the play disparity in this, which happens when you get 2 defensive scores, Hop, right?
Yeah.
West Virginia was on the defense, was on the field for the defense for 32 plays in the final 5 minutes and 19 seconds.
Holy cow.
Holy
32
cow.
in the final 5:19. West Virginia only ran 42 offensive plays for the entire game. West Virginia defended 32 of them at the end of the game. So again, some of that disparity is because you're backing off a little bit at that point. Hop, you had such a big lead, you're just backing off saying, okay, if you want to keep throwing it under, go ahead, because you're going to chew clock here, which ultimately is what happened and prevented the comeback. So some of these numbers, when you look at a box score and you say, oh my God, you didn't win any category. Yeah, because you didn't need to. Right? You scored twice defensively, and you started with some short fields, which were incredible, which leads me into what may be the biggest number of the game outside of the turnovers, but it's related. West Virginia had a plus 20-yard field position advantage.
Huge.
Plus 20. Hop, one of my keys to the game in our coverage was to flip the field, and we talked about this exact thing. Cincinnati came into this game as number 1 in the country in opponent field position, right? They were making teams go further on their drives than any team in the country. And West Virginia totally flipped the field on them and had a plus 20. We've talked a lot on this show over the years. If you're plus 10, your win percentage is through the roof. It's 90% plus if you're plus 10. West Virginia was plus 20 in that category. So a lot of that was defense. A lot of that was Pac-Man Fox that you talked about there. Kick coverage was very good as well on West Virginia.
Oliver
again,
Straw.
defense and special teams, and Ollie Straw did a great job, again, punting, pinning Cincinnati back. So that really, to me, is a remarkable number, the plus 20 in and of itself. But when you were playing against the number 1 team in the country in that category, it's remarkable. Another side note about that, West Virginia was 116 in the country in drives that started with 60 yards or less to go to the end zone. So West Virginia's offense hadn't been getting any short fields either, which is part of that field position advantage. So just that to me was, if you want an advanced stat number that jumped out, that to me was incredible, especially given the opponent. We talked a lot going into this game about Dante Corleone and what that matchup with Brandon Yates would look like, and that it may be a deciding factor in the game. West Virginia's offense really struggled yesterday. Credit to that Cincinnati defense overall for what they were able to do. Nico missed some passes offensively. I thought, by the way, side note, his post-game interview was simply incredible for any student athlete, let alone your backup quarterback. I thought he was just a tremendously upfront interview, great attitude. We've had him on this program before, so did a super job in explaining some of the things. And he started it with his inaccuracy on some passes. But let's not lose fact of the game that Brandon Yates had against Dante Corleone. We talked so much about how Zach Frazier handled that matchup. Brandon Yates handled that matchup extremely well. I don't know that we said Dante Corleone's name until the last couple of drives when he finally broke through and made some plays. That was Brandon's second. He had the second best offensive grade for any Mountaineer yesterday. Brandon Yates did.
That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
That was his best versus an FBS team this year. Brandon Yates played a great game when he needed to. And so, again, I know the offense didn't do a lot for that game, but Brandon Yates did. He was really, really good. So a lot of credit to Brandon for stepping up in what was a really difficult matchup and had a really good game.
You know, Brad, on it, especially when the last time he had a guy on his face, he had trouble with those snaps.
Yes.
And that was not an issue yesterday. It was not an issue.
Brandon was great, so credit to him. We talked a lot on Thursday's show about Joy Royer. I spent hours of my life that I won't ever get back talking about West Virginia's inability to guard the seam route, and we did all those numbers and all of that. Credit West Virginia's defense on Royer in particular. He had 4 catches on just 4 targets, 31 yards, absolute non-factor. That was his second lowest offensive grade of the season, his lowest receiving grade of the season. He had his 3rd most snaps in a game where he ran a route and almost no production from him. They absolutely shut down their best receiver in Joe Royer. That was his fewest targets in a game this season, tied for the second fewest receiving yards. So a matchup, the 2 matchups that we talked about Thursday that were really concerning, absolutely in West Virginia's favor.
Yeah.
Let's look at some PFF numbers. This is a number that we say a lot of times on here, backs up what your eyes saw. West Virginia's defense was within a 1/10 of a point of the best defensive grade it had all season. Right there with Oklahoma State. Actually surprised me. I would have thought the grade would be even better given the scoring that came with it, but nonetheless, that was by far the best coverage grade of the season. We have mentioned that West Virginia has had for most of the year and did coming into this game the lowest coverage grade per PFF in the entire country. It was down in the 30s, the high 30s on the season. West Virginia busted out a 74.8 coverage grade. Its next best on the year was that 67.5 against Oklahoma State. So the coverage, as you saw with your own eyes, graded out extremely well. Some individuals. Let's talk Mulba for just a second. Fatorma Mulba. He had the second best grade, defensive grade for players that played more than 5 snaps for West Virginia. He was just outstanding. Here's a number that we've talked about a few times before, stops. PFF defines that as a play that constitutes a failure for the offense. It's generally a linebacker stat. Those are usually the guys that lead you in stops. To this point, Josiah Trotter had led West Virginia. We talked back during the Albany game because Trotter had 8 of those stops against Penn State, which was a remarkable number. It was the most since Neil Brown had arrived for a single player. He tied Lee Koba from last year against Penn State with 8. Since Neil arrived, the previous most stops in a game, 7 in 2019, 6 in 2020, 5 in 2021, 7 in 2022, and then Koba and Trotter each with 8 in back-to-back seasons. That's the most stops by a single player since Neil arrived, 8. They're all linebackers, right? Mm-hmm. Mulba had 8 against Cincinnati. He tied that mark for a defensive lineman.
So define a stop again?
The definition is a play that constitutes a failure for the offense.
Blows it up.
Blowed up a play.
They blowed up the play. Blowed it up.
8 individual stops for Fatorma Mulba as a defensive lineman. Just an incredible effort. KK Tarnu, we mentioned him. He had the best PFF grade of any defensive player that played more than 5 snaps. Garnett Hollis, transfer from Northwestern. His best grade of the season, 70.9. His previous best was a 61. And you saw, again, what did your eyes tell you when you watched that? There were a couple times when he was right there in coverage, knocking passes down, and that was the one thing you noticed, Hop, right? Just to make it simple, outside of the one bust, there was the one where you hit for an 80-yard pass play. other than that, there weren't receivers running wide open. There were people around the Cincinnati players. It just looked better, didn't it?
Yes.
It looked like guys were in better position, and they responded and played really well.
And even when there were catches, you didn't see as many yards after catch because the defender was there, right?
Yeah, just, again, we can't – I don't know how many different ways we can say that defense was really, really good yesterday.
Also, nice pickup on that flag when they were going to call Hollis for interference in front of the Mountaineers sideline.
Well, you don't see that very often.
You don't see
Well, they
that
picked up a lot of flags
Picked
yesterday.
up a couple.
Yeah.
Picked up a couple.
That was a good pickup, but
I thought they could have left that flag down on that one.
Yeah.
I wish they'd not picked it up on the pass interference in the end zone.
Utah's AD wish he would have picked up that holding. Anyway, go ahead.
West Virginia made Brendan Sorsby really uncomfortable. That dude's had a fantastic year for them, and one of the main reasons why they're having such a good year. And he had been so good at home at Nippert. 7 touchdown passes and just 1 interception going into that game. Obviously, you doubled that output with the 1 interception that came yesterday. He had the lowest offensive grade for any Cincinnati player yesterday at a 41.6. So part of why you struggle, some of this stuff, right? We make it way more complicated than this. Your quarterback is your lowest graded offensive player. You probably didn't win that game.
Right.
And that was the case. West Virginia harassed him all day, led him into some uncharacteristic throws because of West Virginia's pressure, and he just had a rough day. So, again, defense just outstanding. I find this stat interesting, and this is courtesy of the folks over at GameOnPaper.com who do a great job with some of these advanced stats.
New one, huh?
No, I've done them before.
GOP, game on paper.
The biggest individual plays of the game, and this is judged by a win probability perspective, Hop.
Mm-hmm.
Tyron Bradley's fumble recovery for a touchdown, that cost Cincinnati 37.5% in their win probability. I'm surprised it wasn't more, but that's most single plays in a football game aren't going to swing it like that. Time, place, and what it resulted in gave them a negative 37.5 win probability. Anthony Wilson's pick 6 cost him another 23.5% win probability. So what is that? 60% right there. And quite frankly, it's probably a little bit more if you played it out in terms of if you give up 2 defensive score or you get 2 defensive scores in a game, what's your win probability? Yeah. It's probably way higher than that 60%, but that's 2 plays within their 79 plays that they ran that cost them 60%. How devastating. It shows you just how devastating those plays can be. And listen, West Virginia's seen that on the other side, the pick 6 at K-State and such, but those were massive. The biggest offensive play for West Virginia, just to put that in perspective of how big those plays were, the biggest offensive play for West Virginia in terms of changing your win probability, Nico's touchdown run in the third quarter added 8.6 to your win probability. Oh. So that's great, 8.6. That's great, Hop. You'll take that. It's not the 60% you got off the 2 defensive scores. Incredible. So I just find that a fun exercise to look at win probability after the games.
When the Bradley play happened, the backward pass fumble pickup, did you guys instantly know it? Did you realize it? Because it was kind of surreal because some players stopped, right? Some players stopped, and it was like this kind of like everything went whoop, whoop.
That was a good job by Tyron to keep playing that out.
Yeah. Just go.
Because I just was assuming incomplete or not, and that's what you would review.
Exactly.
It took us a minute to figure out the backwards pass part.
And you got and look, you make your own breaks, but we talk about the football and the bounce. You just got some bounces yesterday too. I mean, because he picked that ball bounced right to his hands. Lots of times you see just fumbling and bumbling to try to get on the ball, bounced right to his hands, did the right thing, and also even on the onside kick where Lathan it just bounced. So Traylon Ray. So you got some bounces there, right?
Yeah. Oh, you needed them. It has to come around because we've been getting bad bounces all year.
Yeah. Thank you. That's the regression to the mean that we talk about so often, that you're going to get some bad breaks during the season. You're going to miss a play here or there. You're going to have your hands on a quarterback that spins out of your reach in a game earlier in the season that probably cost you the game. You were due for some bounces in your favor.
And I may have mentioned this, but Brad, we know that Nico didn't have a great game, but he had that touchdown run. It was a nice run by him to get the touchdown run, and also those 2 long passes. What has West Virginia not been able to do well this season?
Stroke it down the field.
Yeah, and he dropped. Those were 2 of the most perfect passes that you've seen from a Mountaineer quarterback this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Laid him out there.
Dropped it right in there.
Wonderful job.
On what was not bad coverage.
They were right there. Just got a step or two ahead of him, and he put it right where it needed to go. Yeah, extremely well done.
So that's the bulk of the numbers
That's good.
coming out of that game.
That's good. Basketball next.
Yeah, you want to talk a little hoops?
Yeah, take a sip of water. Get yourself ready. I want to let people know. For those of you that are watching,
Yeah, what are you doing?
it's called a phone receiver, right? It's called a phone receiver.
Don't recognize it.
Yeah.
It's right there with the milkman coming up to my house.
It's part of a business phone system.
Oh.
If you need a new business phone operating system for your business, well, Comax is the place to go. Comax Business Systems can come in and give you a complete estimate as to what you need and give you the consultation that's required to best suit your business's needs, whether it's one line or 1,000 lines. The folks at Comax will take care of you with a free estimate, and then when it comes to payment, you can lease, you can rent, you can buy, whatever is best for you. Visit ComaxWV.com. That's ComaxWV.com. Technology has changed amazingly with these phone systems, and you can keep track of the folks in your workplace. And we strongly encourage you to visit ComaxWV.com. Who knows? You're a business owner. You want to put one on your pontoon boat? You can have a business phone there. It still works.
You just segued right into that.
It still works. You can absolutely do it. And the folks at Lou Wendell Marine Sales happen to be the single largest pontoon boat dealer in the state of West Virginia, and they've been cracking at it for nearly 50 years. They sell the Avalon pontoon boats, which are made and manufactured, created in the state of Michigan. It's Avalons, and they are fantastic. And then you throw in those G3 John boats. You can use those for fishing and a whole lot more. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com if you'd like to visit the bricks and mortar location. That's St. Albans, home of the Red Dragons and of Lou Wendell Marine Sales, or visit them at LouWendellMarineSales.com. You might need some stuff here as the boating season gets ready to wrap up. Maybe like a big cover. Maybe have that. By the way, as we record today, if I'm not mistaken, this is the anniversary of the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Is it really?
Yes.
Oh, let me double
Lou
check
Wendell
that.
Marine Sales, by the way, had no involvement whatsoever in the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Good to hear.
Let's do some basketball. World champion Mountaineers, under first-year head coach Darren DeVries, are now 2-0 on the season. West Virginia got just what it needed on Friday night, and by that I mean they were taken up and down, and they had to overcome challenges and adversity, and they gnawed, and they would not relent, and they maintained a lead. And so just a great experience when you can learn a ton, persevere, and at the same time win the game. Mountaineers over the Minutemen of UMass. Mountaineers 2-0 off this week up until Friday when they take on the Pitt Panthers in Pittsburgh.
That game
Did
played.
you go Friday night? You were at the game?
Heard about it.
Okay.
Yeah. That game turned out to be just what we thought. We said that was going to be a good test. That's a team that has a chance to be a top 100 team by the end of the year in UMass, and it was physical as we thought. And it's, a couple things, Hop. Let's do some macro, then we'll get down in some of the numbers. If you look, again, you talk about where the defense for West Virginia's football team improved over a week. Let's talk about some differences in a matchup from a year prior to what this was, where West Virginia went into Springfield last year, played UMass, really got pushed around a lot. That was just a team that out-physicaled you. We mentioned the hard foul on Jesse Edwards that cost him some games. This was physical as well, is what you're going to get in a Frank Martin team. You know what's coming out. You know what you get in a Darren DeVries team?
Yeah, same thing.
You get a physical team. Not only were you not out-physicaled, you were the more physical of the two teams, and that paid huge dividends for you. So the turnaround there was really impressive for this group. The difference in the game, turnovers matter in both sports, but the difference in this game, how about free throws? Another game, we're going to try and track that better this year, so I have some numbers moving out. When you make more than the other team attempts, it generally turns into a win. That was the case here. And the thing that impressed me for West Virginia, game one, Hop, you made a bunch of threes. You were a really good shooting team. That got you the win. That was the story coming out of the game offensively. This game, threes weren't falling. UMass was all over you. They were bodying you. They did a good job on screens. They did a good job being in the right spot defensively. You were struggling to make your threes at the same clip you did the game before. Guess what? That's basketball. That happens. So you know what you did? You found a different way to attack offensively. You got to the basket more. You drew the fouls. You got to the free throw line. And then, Tony, what'd you do when you got to the free throw line?
Brad, you went 25 of 29. That's a percentile of 86.
Whew.
86 from the line. Again, Hop, can't pick that up and necessarily assume it's going to happen every game. For that particular night,
You take it when you get it.
You got a bunch of free throws and you made a lot. Your free throw attempt rate was 51%. So your free throw attempts divided by your shot attempts, that's a big number. That was way up there. We've talked about that over the years with West Virginia's program. It's usually a factor that turns out well in their favor, and it was a thing that under Bob Huggins you used a lot to get a bulk of your points were at the free throw line. That happened against UMass on Friday. Defensively, just really impressive again. 10 of your 12 steals on the game. And let me say that again. You had 12 steals in the game for West Virginia. 10 of them came in the first half, and part of those steals, you had like 3 in the final 3 minutes when you built that lead up to 17, which you needed in the second half when it got hairy. And UMass got hectic and desperate there at the end, and you had to hang on. You built that lead in the first half that was tremendous. We've talked about Sincere Harris a bunch and his ability to guard. How about the job he did on Rasul Diggins, who came into the game off a first game for Diggins in which he made 8 threes, Hop. 0 of 5 from the floor in the first half, 0 of 4 from 3.
Wow.
Totally just eliminated him from the game. He got some points late. He did a good job shaking free and getting some points late. But Sincere Harris, Tony, again, I thought the individual defense by him that made it difficult on what they were trying to do offensively. And then, oh, by the way, you switched him off onto Curry, their point guard, in the second half, which was really the source of their offensive success in the first half for UMass. He was very good, Curry was, at the pick and roll. And West Virginia was getting hung up in that pick, and Curry was having some success. Late in that game, Darren made the switch, put him over on Curry. Done. No success there. Curry had 0 points in the second half.
Curry had 4 missed free throws in the late going when the game was still hanging in the balance. He finished up 5 of 15 from the field. And that was extremely significant in that game. It was kind of a weird game if you take a look at a couple of these numbers. So West Virginia wins it, 75-69. If you were there, watched it, listened to it, I think it was on the radio.
It was.
It felt a lot tighter, right? It got a little sphincter tightening.
Mm-hmm.
But listen to this. The game was only tied twice.
Mm-hmm.
There was only one lead change the entire game, and West Virginia led the game for basically 36 minutes.
Control the game.
But still, there was this. You could never absolutely knock them on. They're up 17, but you could never feel really, really super comfortable, literally, until the final minute of the game.
You know what's interesting too, and these conversations will be more prevalent in years moving forward. And that's why this was, here's just the nice thing about basketball versus football, that you get the opportunity to play games like this against another really good program in UMass, but it's not a league game, and you can get your legs under you and work on some things. This is a brand new West Virginia team, as we've talked about a million times. You're trying to install everything, Hoppy. You know what's hard to get to? When the other team throws a 1-3-1 at you all of a sudden.
Which you didn't expect.
So credit Frank Martin and UMass. They did some things defensively that you just haven't seen or been able to work enough against yet. So they bust out a 1-3-1 for a few possessions that WVU got some good shots at it, but didn't score while they were in that zone. So it worked to that perspective. At the end of the game, they had to come up and press, and they had to get hectic and get extra physical. And West Virginia, how many times has it worked on press break? Probably not as much as Darren would have liked, because you can't do everything. But now you get it in a live situation when live bullets are flying, and that was a really good test. And that's where I credit those guys on the floor, in particular for West Virginia, for handling those unique situations that they haven't practiced against. And they haven't broken a press a lot with these particular guys because they're all playing together for the first time. And they were able to hang on, make their free throws late, and get a win out of that.
Go ahead,
Just
sir.
a couple macro observations watching that game. One is that this is going to be a team that West Virginia fans can enjoy.
They will.
Because of how they play.
Matches the identity of how West Virginians think they are.
Exactly.
Gritty, tough, get after it.
Number one. Number two, you know what fans like? They like when you make your free throws. You know, I mean, in the pace of a game where you miss a shot, the thing happens so quickly, you're on to the next thing. Free throws, the game has stopped. Everybody's watching, and you miss it. And if you don't shoot free throws well, how many times do the fans text in, Brad, and say, hey, why don't you practice free throws in practice, you know? So making free throws goes over well with the fans. And I'd say, I know that we've talked about Tucker DeVries a lot. He is... Tony, there are guys in games sometimes where you're not even sure they're in the game. You just don't hear them. Tucker DeVries is around everything. scoring, defense, knocking the ball away, rebounds. He's involved all the time. He's fun. You can just watch him if you want to.
Knows how to
fun
play.
to watch. Yeah, knows how to play.
Basketball IQ's off the charts.
Yeah, knows how to
the
play the
little
game.
things he does when you need him to do a little thing, and that's not even a poke defensively that turns into a steal for somebody else. It's just the getting the offense to go when it's bogged a little bit, and he knows exactly where to go. Couple other notes on this game. Rebounding, right? Oh, how's this team going to rebound? Oh, no, they got beat on the boards again. Guess what? You won the rebounding battle against a team that outsized you fairly significantly. Dead even on offensive rebounds. So as we've talked many times, I think this West Virginia team, that'll be something we talk about. I get it. But I think this team's going to improve rebounding throughout the year. They were very good the other night in terms of holding UMass at bay. Hoppy, I mentioned the threes earlier. That weren't following, so West Virginia went to another plan of attack, and they were able to. 37% of West Virginia's shots against UMass were at the rim. So again, with great size in there for the Minutemen, West Virginia was able to get to the basket. Now, they only made 52% of those, but that's where they picked up a bunch of their fouls, so they got to the rim. The extra pass is going to be a thing with this team, too. They did it against Robert Morris. Excuse me. I thought they were really good against UMass again. Guys that pass up good shots for better shots. That's just a really unselfish way to play, and it shows you some basketball IQ, and it's exactly how Darren DeVries wants you to play. This team has a bunch of guys that will do that. Assist rate in this game, guys, the number of baskets that were assisted on, 57%.
That's stunning.
That's really good. That's a really good number. West Virginia also made some tough shots. I mentioned UMass, I thought, did a really good job defensively. They were physical and stayed right on West Virginia. WVU had 14 of 20 catch and shoots were guarded. 14 of 20. So they only had 6 open looks. 14 of the 20 were guarded. 1.3 points per possession on that. So if you're above 1, that's where you want to be. 1.3 on those. And the final piece that kind of wraps it up, and maybe I should have led with this, the contributions from so many different guys. 4 players in double figures. But, Tony, I think throughout that game, we mentioned big play or plays from how many different guys. Really, everybody that played did something. And, Hop, I thought Darren's lineup juggling, if you were giving him a PFF grade for coaching lineup juggling, A+. And that's important not only to get you the win the other night, but I think moving forward, because West Virginia's going to have some games, Tony, like they did the other night, where some key contributors are in foul trouble early. And West Virginia had that multiple times. And you had to keep shuttling guys in, get a guy out, buy some minutes where he doesn't get another foul, then try and get him back in, then get them back out. The lineup juggling was impressive, and guys that came in did a good job to help make up that lineup juggling come off as impressive.
Yeah, and so individually, you're talking about a guy like Eduardo Andre, who's the backup center. He comes in and in the course of 13 minutes gets 6 rebounds, scores 4 points, and makes both of his free throws.
And how many shots did he change on the defensive end?
Oh, absolutely. And then the other 2 guys that you just got to give them a big hug right now are these 2 freshmen in Tenor and Powell. They combined to score 14 points. Powell hits 2 more 3-pointers. Now, that's not going to stay like that. Freshmen, I don't care who you are, you're going to have some of this. You're going to have some ups and downs, but you can see the foundation of them of going to become good, very good players is there. But they're going to have up and down because they're freshmen. But at the same time, you got a couple of guys there that can be really successful going forward in their careers.
They've been great early.
Yeah.
But then just go down the line. Joseph Yesufu comes in.
Yep.
You needed minutes out of him. He hits a 3 and hit both of his free throws, had a rebound and assist. So came in and contributed. And then when you had to go, one of the switches you like to have if you're Darren, KJ or Sincere on the floor at one time for defensive pressure on a point guard or a backcourt guy. There were times when you had to get both of those guys off the floor due to fouls, and those other guys stepped up defensively and did a really good job. I thought Javon Small in particular, in that flurry at the end of the first half, he just said, "Oh, is that right? I'm just going to take this game over.
Yeah,
I'm just going to take this over." Had 3 steals in those final couple of minutes of the half.
Did you notice the very, very loud groan on the last shot of the game inside the Coliseum there on Friday? Made the final score 75-69, so West Virginia wins by 6. Did you notice the noticeable groan when that 3-point shot from Rasul Diggins went in, Brad? Why would that be? Why would people groan like that? The game was already over.
Sometimes last shots of games matter.
What do you mean by that? How's that mean?
Well, sometimes it affects lines or totals.
Oh, they're betting on these games now?
I think so. Some do.
So what was it?
I don't know where the line
was.
ended up. I thought it was 6.
8?
It just depends. It's like some people got 10. It had moved itself out to 10. It was 8 for a lot of the week.
Some people lost. In other words, people lost money when that shot went in. It busted.
If they had it 8,
some made money on that.
Some
too.
made and some lost, but there was a yeah. Well, you'll have that.
Really good win. Bottom line, really good win. Another impressive performance from a bunch of different guys.
Three Guys Before the Game is brought to us by Tudor's Biscuit World. Start your day the homemade way with a Tudor's biscuit. Continue to get suggestions from our listeners as to what the best Three Guys biscuit would be. And I think gentlemen that we have coming up here on our textual healing may have hit it. May have had the perfect suggestion for what a Three Guys biscuit would be. By the way,
the best one was sometimes Swiss cheese is on it and sometimes it isn't.
And that's,
I do think
that's kind of the way this. That's kind of the way this thing was trending as well. Just a reminder.
I did love that.
Hoppy loves his steel camo travel mug from. Oh, you got it in your hand today? I didn't even notice down there.
Yeah.
All right, so there it is. You buy that bad boy at a Tudor's Biscuit World, and for the rest of your life, you just bring it in there whenever you want, and you get a 24-ounce refill for the price of a small coffee or an iced tea.
Nice.
It's a heck of a deal.
A great deal.
And while you're in there, you might want to grab yourself a Tudor's biscuit because they are absolutely delightful. All right, so before the show started today, we had Delightful Dave, who used to be known as Homeless Dave.
So it's official? His name is switched now?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
I think so. Delightful Dave was in, and he gave us a rundown as to what we've got coming our way. So we do have some information on that. So without any further ado, let's do textual healing. Wrong version again, but it's okay.
No, I like this version.
Get up, get up, get up, get up. 3 guys on tonight. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. I just got a ride. Ooh, baby. I got up this morning. The words were forming inside of me. Maybe.
I think that's charting in Scotland.
I just want some winning. Yeah, winning.
All right, let's do this thing. Textual healing is your opportunity to check in with us on that text line you just saw, 304-404-4083. And comments coming up here in just a second. I got some news for you all. Starting on Monday, November the 11th, which is one day from now as the day we record, our Christmas and holiday items will be going up onto the website starting tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, which includes the award-winning Mountaineer Munch Popcorn Series from Mountaineer Popcorn, located out in the Eastern Panhandle. Shepherdstown, right?
Shepherdstown.
And the Mountaineer Munch last year, and sometimes I may fool around, the Mountaineer Munch absolutely exploded in popularity last year, and it's back this year. It's a peanut butter chocolate popcorn, which, I mean, it should be illegal because once you start it, you cannot finish it. And so Thanksgiving is later this year. You'll have about 1 week less to shop than normal between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So all you have to do is visit episode800.com. Also, the Three Guys hat. Brad had worn that hat a couple of times on the show. Those are the ones we got, right?
Yes.
Those are available on the website as well. Now, I encourage you strongly to do that. So let's tell you what we're doing here. We've received some unhappy listener text that we are not going to be doing a food court for this week when Baylor comes to town. So our plan was, when we started the thing off back in the summer, to do it for all the games. Little did we know at that point that El Senatore would be serving as the color analyst for basketball on the Mountaineer Sports Network, which means that both of us are going to be in Pittsburgh on Friday. And obviously, Hoppy unable to clearly carry the food court on his back.
Excuse me?
So regardless if
That was kind of on the first shot.
I think a cheap shot
I just read what Dave wrote.
I mean, I would just say I'm the one who would be there.
I would be the one who would be there. Anyway, so here's the deal. No food court, sorry, this week. However, got a little something for you. Little lanyap.
Big shock there was an overpromise made that we couldn't fulfill upon.
There are unconfirmed reports. There are strongly unconfirmed reports that we are going to do a speakeasy.
What?
the night before the UCF game on Friday, November the 22nd, a speakeasy at an undisclosed location.
Ooh.
And Dave has not told us other than it's going to take place November the 22nd, which is Friday before UCF. It's going to happen in Morgantown between 5 and 9. We will have food, beverage, and entertainment. If you have interest in attending, this is a speakeasy.
Does that mean the police are going to come with axes and bust the place up?
You will need to send an email if you'd like to join us to info@episode800.com. Info@episode800.com. Someone will follow up with details and a password.
What?
You'll get a password if you get accepted to come and gain access to the event. You even may go through a vetting process. Capacity will be limited to 100 guests at the speakeasy. It's in Morgantown. That's all we know. This is what we do know. Connection 304, our beer will be served, and our in-house performer that night will be Mike Clement, Hudson's dad, who has been the rage at the food court this season.
He's taken off.
Very popular.
Yeah.
Now,
Good reviews.
Excellent reviews. He's fun.
now the story behind the story.
Good whole group
Oh, yeah.
they bring. Yeah, go ahead. What,
They travel
please
like
with the story because there's not been a lot of details to this point.
Here's the story. The reason we're doing this last event during football and efforting on basketball will be to help Mountaineer football player Hudson Clement, who has begun a fundraising campaign for a young girl by the name of Ava Mae Lillard. She's also from Martinsburg. She was diagnosed with stage 4 neuroblastoma on January of this year and had a relapse in September. She's 14. She'll be 15 on the 30th of November, getting all of her treatment right here in Morgantown at WVU Medicine Children's. She's had some really hard treatments, surgery, a lot of trips to Morgantown, and currently facing another surgery for the cancer. Donations will help the family cover uncovered expenses and her treatment and travel expenses. Hudson began this campaign on his own, and he wrote this: I'm dedicating every reception that I make the rest of the season to help Ava Mae beat cancer. Please pledge a donation toward each reception I make this season to support Ava Mae in her fight against stage 4 cancer. So yesterday he didn't play. He was in street clothes because he's got a hamstring. Hopefully he'll be back. And we'll post the link on Three Guys social media to give you more. But we are going to have a speakeasy, which just sounds kind of neat.
Yeah.
And for an incredibly worthwhile cause, which is what we try to do. And again, if you want to sign up and get the password to come in, it's info@episode800.com. Again, 5 until 9, Friday, November 22. It will be in Morgantown. And that's all I can tell you because...
That's a limited group.
Yes.
Well, that'd be 100 people.
Did you say that?
Yeah,
he said-
limited to
Okay,
100.
Gotcha.
Did you get the website? Did you get the email yet? info@episode800.com. Say, yes, I'd like to come, and you get a password.
Good cause, good fun, good fellowship there. The Clements are now just sort of like,
Yeah.
they're just
They're like a
part of the group.
They're like
part of the group. Yeah.
they're kind of like a traveling band. That's what I like. They bring their own fans. That's very nice.
Yeah.
What's that date?
22nd.
The night before the UCF game?
Right. Correct.
Okay.
Texter, hey, Three Guys, I wanted to shout out my coworker and fellow listener for the Gomart care package. These Reese cups are already gone. Look at that.
Look at
Someone
that.
sent them a Gomart. There's our beer.
Well, that's
Bunch
a
of
good
stuff from Gomart. Says, P.S. My newborn son cries every time Javon Small hits an open 3. He's 3 weeks old, and he already recognizes it's a thing of beauty. Boom. Texter. Tony, don't let Brad discourage future Greg Hunter impersonations. I belly laughed so hard on your Icelandic player, people, due to the fact that you have his cadence down so well. Hopefully, Hunter is honored by said impression sent by Adam in Adamstown.
That's the worst impression in the world.
No, I
Cadence
think
or no cadence?
I think he did hit it. That's why it is funny. It's the cadence.
Yeah.
Totally made up.
Pretty good player.
Fake.
I saw Hunter yesterday before the game. He drove right after the left the Coliseum at 10:30 Eastern. I said, Hunter, how was it? Oh, it wasn't bad. 4 hours on the nose. Got here at 2:30. Pretty good. 4445540.
Ridiculous.
Hey,
Not
listen,
even close.
if an impersonation makes you laugh, it works.
Plus, after a while, the impersonation, it's like all the impersonations of Ed Sullivan back in the day. It didn't really sound like Ed Sullivan, but like, yeah, that's Ed Sullivan.
Yeah. It's characterization.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this picture. Ethan, go to the man cave basement with all the stuff. This is from Rob, and Rob's got a Mountaineer man cave. I thought this picture was pretty good. Is that dude? That dude got a setup?
Nice.
Huh? Could you handle that?
Looks like NASA.
What, 8 screens there?
1, 2, 6, 9.
Oh, my goodness.
That's a good
where's
look.
the 9?
You got 1, 2 on the left, then the 4. I'm counting 4 pictures. He went multi-box. I'm wrong.
Oh.
3, 4, 5, 6. 6 screens. But he multied that one. Unless those are individual.
8 screens.
Whatever. Got a bunch of TVs. Thanks, Rob. This texter wrote in, "You don't respond or read my text anymore. I'm kind of sad about that."
Who's that from?
Didn't sign a name,
Oh.
but I thought it was. It felt like a middle school girl not getting asked to go to the dance. I wrote back though, and he responded.
So
and
you guys, you're okay?
We're okay with it.
Good.
Yeah, we're okay with it. Again, apologize, but all of the texts probably get read, but not everyone is used. But we love everyone. Everyone. Texter, FYI, Brad, I invited you up the last 3 years to the state high school golf championship. Midland finally won this year. Pictured is Jack Michael. He's going to sign with the Mountaineer golf team on Wednesday. And my son, Alex White. Jack was medalist. Alex was all tournament.
Awesome.
Congratulations to you, young fellow. So that young man on the left is going to be playing for the Mountaineers.
Yeah, it's great. Good for them.
Texter, Wyatt.
I would like to go to that event, but they have it in July. I'm usually on like trying to get a couple days of vacation, right? Isn't that the high school golf championships are like in July?
It's pretty close.
They
to
start July 5th and they're over by like July 10th.
Yeah, that's pretty. It's
What
pretty golf season in West Virginia high school.
Is it in July?
It
it's
lasts for about 9 days.
It's so, we always laugh because it's so early. It really does start like in August.
It starts in August.
And then it's because you got to get it in, right? You got to make
Right,
sure you
yeah,
have some
yeah.
decent weather.
I think literally it starts the first day that teams can start football practice,
that's
like
right,
August 1, 2, something like that.
Yeah.
By
So
the way,
thank you for the text. Great job, Cabell Midland.
I should have brought this video in, but the way that the Beckley high school soccer champions.
Yes. You got the video?
Yeah.
Oh, man. 3 seconds remaining.
Did you see what happened, though?
No, I didn't. We heard about it yesterday, but.
But the funniest thing is this. Brad, you following me?
Mm-hmm.
So this young man scores this goal, and Beckley wins the state championship.
Right.
And there's 3 seconds to go when he scores the winning goal.
Mm-hmm.
And he takes his shirt off. And a bunch of kids take their shirts off, right, as they're flying around the field in celebration. And the official issues him, the young man that scored, a yellow card.
Mm.
Now, the goal still scores,
Mm-hmm.
but he just got a yellow card. But it was his second yellow card of the game. So he also had to take out the red card. And while he's issuing the red card, the kid is so excited that he just scored the winning goal, he hugged the referee. He gave the referee, guy gave him the red, he just gave him a big hug. Buddy, I got 3 seconds to go in this baby. Don't care if I'm out of here. I just won the state championship. It's gracious. Need to get that video.
Think about that. You score, soccer goals are hard to come by.
Yeah.
And you score one with 3 seconds remaining.
Yeah. I'm going to do something here, which stunningly
You haven't prepared for.
I haven't prepared for. But, Ethan, I'm going to send you
Here we go.
I'm going to send you this goal, if you would.
Work in progress.
Try to open it up, and it's on the Facebook, and I'm just going to text it to you. If you can get it up and on the video, just text me. If not, we'll do it at another time. Anyway, here we go. Next one. Texter, 3 guys, Rich from Indianapolis here. I consider myself a problem solver. I'm not sure how to stop the SEC from swiping our best players or how to help Ren Baker navigate the future, but I do think I have a solution to the 3 guys Tudor's biscuit dilemma. Here's what you do. You can't add a biscuit to the menu. Every combination is already covered, and the list is kind of sacred. Right after Hoppy mentioned the weak Swiss cheese option, a much better idea occurred to me. Here it is. 3 slices of cheese on any biscuit that's already on the menu. It even fits metaphorically. Give me a Duke, 3 guys style. On a second thought, make it 2. Great show. So he's saying,
Pretty good
you just say
suggestion.
3 guys it, which means 3 pieces of cheese.
That's a lot of cheese. But I appreciate you.
Good creativity, though. I like that.
Yeah. Second thought, make it 2 because sometimes I'm not around, right?
I think there still could be room for another biscuit, though.
Yeah, I mean,
Not
is
sure
there a
the list-
limit?
I'm
Is
not
there a
sure.
li-
I didn't know there was a cap on the number of items.
Texter,
Very creative suggestion on the
Biscuit
cheese.
cap.
Glenn from Scott Depot. Here's a question for Brad. Is there a statistic for blown coverages? If there is, I'm sure we are the leaders in blown coverages per game.
Improvement yesterday.
Texter, I've heard a lot this season about the middle 8 minutes. Horse hockey! The game's 60 minutes long, and they all matter. Signed by Mark and Ripley.
Yeah, middle eight's super important. I had West Virginia. I don't have it up here in front of me, but West Virginia won that middle 8 section from an EPA standpoint. Expected points added pretty significantly yesterday.
Well, you can take a look at it. I'll take a look. You go. I got the thing in here for scoring. So West Virginia scored.
He had 17 in the second quarter.
West Virginia
right?
scored a touchdown with 3:37 to go in the second quarter, and then Markio scored one with 8:29. So West Virginia outscored them 7-0 in the middle.
Yeah,
fourth.
but there's
Statistically,
you
it
can
goes-
get deeper into that because you want to look at how all the plays worked in that middle 8 and what matters. So West Virginia did well in that area.
Yeah, Mark, the statistic is this: if you dig into it, they pull those 4 in the last 4 of the second, first 4 of the third, and statistically, the teams that have the better numbers in those minutes have a very higher percentage to win the game.
Here it is. West Virginia had an expected points added, total expected points added in that time of 2.83 points throughout that whole middle 8. Cincinnati was minus 3.7, 3.27. So pretty significant win in the middle there.
Texter, pleased with the defensive performance today. Was it me, or did they seem to play more aggressive? Well, if you watched some of the post-game interviews, Tyron Bradley said that Jeff Kuntz this week said, guys, if you get them into a third and downs, so you take care of your business on first and second down, I'll let you go.
And there was more pressure.
And that's what they did.
Yeah.
He also says, props to fine-looking Phil and the team over at Daniel's Men's Store. I saw a sweet WV Horn Legend quarter zip on their socials on Monday. Nice flying WV, hundreds of state outlines on it. Quick phone call.
That's a new one, by the way.
Quick phone call 4 days later. I'm the best-dressed WV fan in the greater Atlanta area. Signed by Glenn from Glenn Ferris. Do we have a picture of that quarter zip?
There it is. Oh, no, wait a minute.
There it is.
Oh.
That's nice.
Yeah, and you can't see that there from that particular picture, but if you zoom in, and Tony wears a shirt sometimes with the same look, so there's he's right, hundreds of little tiny state outlines like I have here from the State Pride line over at Daniels. That particular one has little tiny navy blue state outlines all over it with the flying WV. Really nice
Very
piece.
nice. Speaking of fans, Tony, nice representation by the fans at Nippert.
Tremendous. Think about it. Closest road conference game in 13 years, and they were there.
Good for them.
And they stayed.
Yeah.
Hey, 3 guys, speaking of that, I had a great time getting back to a Big East Conference game this weekend in Cincinnati.
Good one.
People around us were friendly, even got to shake their hands and give them an old thanks for having us as they left. There they are, the brothers in the stands, Steven and David Saab.
Yeah.
Now, that guy on the right there, folks, that's the gentleman who created Spreads on Stats and produced Textual Healing. Don't know why he's never produced any other songs over the last 6 or 7 years.
Ghosted us.
Well, probably because you don't play his song anymore on Textual Healing. You just ran him out of the show.
Well, he's getting a little bit of. He's going to get a little bit of his. He might be out completely. Start doing some stuff here.
Big East game. Showdown with Boston College next week.
Texter, should we send some NIL money to the Cincy quarterback for his efforts on our behalf? Thanks for having us, Mike and Myrtle.
You know, it was a weird game by him because obviously he struggled mightily and just had devastating plays. And then there was about, a period of time there where he was smoking hot.
Yeah, he said, I'm gonna make up for my mistakes.
Yeah.
Texter Periopolis Phil writes in just 5 words: never apologize for a win.
Thank you.
Texter
Brad's mantra.
Mike from Oakdale. Random meetup with Eric from Beckley to do a thanks for having us. Yeah. There's 3 guys there. Those guys all got it. They were at the game. They said, hey, are you from West Virginia? Yeah, I'm from West Virginia. Looks like they took that guy, the Cincy guy in the middle. They were just giving him a
is that
thanks for
picture
having
taken
us.
against his will?
It looks like he's being held hostage.
Last
by those
they heard
guys.
of him.
He wanted to be in a thanks for having a picture.
Yeah.
Well done. Thanks for having us.
Texter writes this, I'm in-game at the game. An in-game text at the game. And this is all they said. I really appreciate our facilities.
What are you saying?
I think it says a lot. Texter, High Scopes, the new color guy, and the Hopster. I can't remember many games with a disparity as the Cincinnati fourth quarter. 30 plays, 146 yards for Cincinnati, 4 plays, 1 yard for West Virginia, and 1 play was a kneel down. To get the dub there shows great fortitude. Those 2 defensive TDs, major mistakes by Cincinnati, but good teams take advantage of those immediately. Joe in Charleston.
Yeah, and I'll keep saying, I know they count as mistakes for Cincinnati. They'll be looking at it that way. Those were caused by West Virginia.
Yes.
That wasn't a dude just standing back there, didn't see a defensive back or made a bad throw. He was under severe duress on both. Those are caused mistakes.
And the fumble was
difference.
a strip by Carrico, so the defense caused that to happen. You know, another thing is that West Virginia, we talk a lot about in need of rivals, and Cincinnati's the closest thing you have to a rival. And they haven't played that many times compared to like a Virginia Tech or Pitt. But there have been games, but the games have been such that it adds to the rivalry. And yesterday was one of those.
Yeah, that's how you get it, right? You're right. Those are the 2 things. Either you need time or you need things to happen during games.
Yeah.
Right? Like when the replay official screws you on the Isaiah Pede fumble back in 2009 or whatever that was. So Cincinnati didn't do that, but it happened in their building and it cost you a win. So that adds to the legacy of the rivalry. Yeah, exactly right. Horrific replay official call, no.
Man, you're still not. And we were talking about that 2011 game where West Virginia blocks a field goal attempt, which would have tied the game if it was good. And Gino and Tavon and Stedman went off in that game? Mm-hmm. What?
Every time I hear the word Stedman, I just think back to the Clumps. Stedman, fine-looking man.
Great movie.
I think we have the video. So let's run the video. Here's the soccer final, and this is for the World Championship down in Beckley yesterday. So you see here, there goes the goal. There's 3 seconds to go. So here's the kid that scores it. These kids just start ripping their shirts off, right? Now look down the bottom of the screen. The cameraman, Taryn Malone, really working hard, running around there, getting a lot of shots for Metro News. Now watch as the video continues. They're having a massive doggy pile. They're celebrating. There's 3 seconds to go. They have taken the lead, and they show a little bit of a replay here. Now watch this. Look at that, boys. Perfect pass off the foot into the goal. They celebrate. Now, when it goes back to the live action here, in just a moment, you will see the official assigning. There's the yellow card. Now he's going to come out with the red card, and there's the kid, gives the referee a hug as he gets ejected from the game.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Was Taryn working on behalf of one of those teams? Like, how did he get such a great seat on the bench? Like, he's closer than the coach was to the action.
He works. I mean, he's learned from Joe Bricado, and I'm sure those are great photos. I haven't seen him on WV Metro News. I'll look later today.
He's closer to the goal than any player was.
I think he was credited with an assist on the play.
He was, and you could tell because it's aggressive Taryn, he was really tempted to get on the pitch.
Yeah,
I mean, he was very close to just.
Well, he did. He made it onto the field of play.
But
He didn't cross over the line.
Oh, he crossed over. Yeah, absolutely did.
I get nervous, though, with his athleticism. When he ran down that field, I thought he could tip at any time. Would have been a situation.
He gets in there. I give him credit.
He does.
Texter, hi, 3 guys. I have not heard a television broadcast recently since I usually listen to Tony and Dwight on the radio while watching the game on Moot. Had no choice yesterday due to a scheduling conflict. I was surprised to hear Nico Markol and Wyatt Millum in the first 5 minutes from the television announcer. Are they that bad now, or is that just someone who is ready to retire? Curious, though, are there any words or names that any of the 3 guys struggle with or have struggled with? Any words or names you just never felt comfortable pronouncing, no matter how much you practiced? Love the show. Signed, JD from the Southern Coalfields. P.S. Please bring back the food court for the UCF game. You ever struggle with any names, Hoppy?
Oh, yeah.
You do?
Yeah. And I struggle, if you listen closely, I struggle with R's.
I struggle with AI. Tail,
Yeah.
sail, male. I really have to bite down hard to get those out there. Yeah,
like if I want to say particularly,
Particularly?
that's a hard one for me.
That's a hard word.
I try to leave it out of my.
That's just to avoid it.
So you just go with sort of, kind of. Sort of, kind of. Thank you, JD. You may have discussed already, but here's a question. When has West Virginia University had both a men's and women's basketball player on the Wooden Award preseason top 50?
Good question.
Wow. Would that be like, you'd have to probably, if it happened, Rosemary Kasork on the women's side, and then you'd have to see if WVU men had anyone that year? That'd probably be the closest thing, I would think. I don't think it's happened.
I don't know. Wouldn't Meg have been on one of those lists at some point?
But then you have a man.
I know, but I'm trying to think of the women's side of things first.
Yeah.
I have to look at that.
Greg from Pittsburgh writes, on my visit into West Virginia last weekend, I was able to procure my first six-pack of Connection 304, which paired perfectly with the win over Arizona. As I search for a celebratory beer this Saturday evening after the UC win, I find myself drawn quickly my remaining few Connection 304s, perhaps a new tradition. I've got 4 left, so by my count, that'll get us to 8-4 and maybe a W in Dallas. If you're going to dream, might as well dream big. Love the show. Let's go, Mountaineers. Yeah, that'd be a good plan. West Virginia mathematically still alive in the Big 12 race.
Let's worry about the next game.
Just saying. Hey, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big next game guy too, Hoppin. It's certainly not so much, but you want to take a peek at the standings?
You're 5th right now.
Well, you're tied for 3rd.
Yeah.
You're tied for 3rd is where you are. Now, I know tiebreakers would be something different.
Right.
That puts you in 5th, but you're really the 3rd best record in the league.
Hey, guys, I thought the Big 12 title game was a pipe dream, but actually if K-State, Iowa State, and Colorado each lose another game, West Virginia would essentially control its own destiny based on likely tiebreaker with Colorado. Also, why didn't the Big 12 make the Cincinnati game a guaranteed annual game for West Virginia when most other leagues teams got one? That's a good question.
I like it.
That's a very good question.
Iowa State in a free fall.
Yeah, my gosh.
How about Kansas?
Oh,
They woke up a little bit, huh?
It's what we say so often, guys. Iowa State was doing some good work and winning games, but there were some flaws that were there that were going to show up at some point.
Yeah.
Kansas has some talent. There's a reason they were so highly thought of before. They hadn't been able to come together. We're losing close games. Anything can happen in this thing. I will say this, too, just speaking of Big 12 and what's going to happen over the last 3 weeks. Colorado's really playing well,
Yes.
guys. They had some, I don't know if you saw much of the Texas Tech-Colorado game last night. They have some dudes both sides of the ball that absolutely flat get after it.
Yes.
They deliver some hits defensively. And we talked, Hop, on our coverage that keep an eye on them. They are sneaking around the chicken coop there with some
Yes.
help. They got it again yesterday with the loss to Iowa State. They only have left Utah, at Kansas, and Oklahoma State. And they're sitting right now in second with just one conference loss. They're in a pretty good position right there.
Yeah, I think so.
And BYU might just be like TCU from a couple years ago.
yeah, just
They're just finding ways to win. They're getting
breaks.
some help. They've got Kansas at Arizona State, which is no gimme. Arizona State's been the surprise in the league, and then at Houston. So again, no automatics, but BYU has a nice remaining schedule too. Iowa State and Kansas State play each other to end the season, so someone there is getting another loss.
Correct. Last game, yeah.
Iowa State's still trying to get to 10 wins for the first time ever in that program's history after what they have, a 7-0 start.
Yeah, lost the last
Well,
two.
you had said they've never gotten to that level. Their fans oftentimes get nervous. They're probably bumming out today.
Yeah.
By the way, just received this from our producer. The reason Taryn Malone has such close access, Brad, you asked about that. He's the official SSAC photographer.
Oh, that's right.
He gets all access. I didn't know it included
I
the
didn't know
playing
that.
field.
For real, I didn't know you could go into the goal. That's awesome.
He does. By the way, he has a great shot of actually, being in the goal as the ball came in. I don't know, 91-92.
Or when it left his foot. He was shooting himself as it left his foot into the goal.
92,
job,
Rosemary
Taryn.
Kasorek would have been like on a wooden watch, right?
Probably.
Right. The men's team, 91-92, you had Marcellus Basie, Jeremy Bodkin, Mike Boyd, P.G. Green,
None of those dudes would have
Kirkaldy, Chris Leonard, Catfish McNeely, so probably nobody was on the
No, on the men's side.
Yeah.
Texter, The win was so gritty it could have sanded my hardwood floors. That makes 2 straight with a high pucker factor, or HPF as the kids say. Hopefully the defense can stack performances. I have to think some of the offensive struggle came from what I believe is Nico's first start against this stacked defense. Happy to get another W. Signed by Justin in West Milford.
Well, Neil Brown said, as is often the case with every team, is you begin the stretch run, which will determine how your season will be viewed, and you started with a win on the road. Now you get a home game against Baylor, so now you're in good shape.
Yeah. Last one here. Saturday was a great day to be a Mountaineer wherever you may be, including Atlanta. Football, and then afterward, check out the Lady Hoopsters. They're up 40.
Yeah.
Did you see that turnover number?
26 in the first half.
And stunning, and I don't know that I've seen that.
Never saw the number before, right?
More turnovers than points scored.
44 turnovers they forced.
I'm sorry, excuse me?
44. Jerry West. Niagara was honoring Jerry West.
Yeah.
So they had 44 turnovers.
And they scored, what, 41 points?
Something like that.
Whew.
Women's team off to a good start.
Yeah. Niagara wanted out of the game, remember?
Yeah.
We had heard that they wanted out of the game after they came here last year and committed a ton of turnovers.
Big week coming for the women, right?
Got Pitt
and A&M.
Texas A&M Friday night here.
Ooh. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, this gentleman in Atlanta says, afterward, I closed out the day with Charles Wesley Godwin in concert, and then he included his traditional Country Roads show closer. It's bad video, but it's just good to see. Can you run that? There it is. So Chuck's on there. He's saying Country Roads. Chuck always gets happy when he's performing on a Saturday night.
Where was this?
In Atlanta last night.
Oh, that's where Charles was?
Yeah, he was he closed the show with Country Roads. I think he performs better after the Mountaineers win. I think when he went on that stage yesterday, he had a little bit more bounce. Probably had a couple of those espressos. He got that espresso machine they travel with.
Yeah.
He probably fired up a couple of cappuccinos.
Yes, he put some game day grind in there, too.
Oh, he does.
Yeah.
He loves our coffee. Loves our coffee. So that's it. All right. Anything else for the good of the order?
No, I just, big week coming up. Right?
Fun week, yeah. It's a fun week. We got
Pitt.
I'll tell you what, man. UCF isn't laying down.
Nope.
Baylor.
I know, but I'm just saying. I'm looking ahead.
Oh, yeah. Do you see?
I'm looking
they're
ahead.
not. Yeah.
I mean, they went on the road, and they're Kirkin and Baylor is far from.
Yeah, Baylor's on a little run here. And obviously, we'll talk about that coming up here in the week. But I was hoping they would not be at the point they are right now. They've rallied here after a tough stretch where they had lost 3 in a row. You thought, okay, Baylor's in some trouble. They've turned around and won 3 in a row. So that's going to be a matchup. They run it a little better than you might think, and we know what Jake's going to want to do. Jake Spavital, the offensive coordinator now for Baylor, returning to Mountaineer Field. He's going to want to try and test that defense deep. So how much of that performance can you pick up and move forward? How was that a 1 week bounce that you got, or is that sustainable over these next couple of games?
I'll tell you what you got, and we saw it in that game yesterday with the defense flying around. You saw confidence, Brad.
You did.
You saw confidence.
Yeah, that's swagger.
Yeah.
And swagger. And you saw guys, because it breeds, you have success, it breeds success. I mean, you have to execute, but you saw guys bouncing around with confidence, and which had not existed as much previously, except for maybe the Oklahoma State game.
Frankly, Hop, the only way you get confidence is through results. I mean, you can act like you have fake confidence and you can try and project. The only way you actually really have it is when results go your way. And West Virginia was getting the results, right? Plays were building on top of each other. And momentum, right? Is momentum a big thing in college sports in particular? Yes. You saw it. After that first couple of drives for Cincinnati until the turnover, you were looking at that going, uh-oh, this is not going well. And then it flipped on its head, and West Virginia took all the momentum.
And it'd be fascinating to know. Well, I think you saw, based on the results, what happened in the room over those last 2 weeks, because that's significant. I mean, you fire your defensive coordinator, and a guy that's been there for a number of years, and you bring in the next guy who's he's on the coaching staff, but still the next guy's in charge. And you have, the first thing is, does he have the room? Are they tuned in? How are they going to respond? Right? That's the first thing, and then you saw how they did.
Well, and then you wondered aloud on the last show in the preview, would that have their attention? Mm-hmm. Would the players respond to that move? And I countered with, well, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. What are you going to get? They did.
Yeah.
Right? Those players obviously said, okay, we've got to play better too. So they responded. Here's the other thing. Let's not dismiss. I should have led with this. Let's not dismiss the importance of this win when you're on the road. You're without your starting quarterback, which means you're also without your leading rusher. whether that's in yards or EPA produced. So you're without your starting quarterback, you're without your leading rusher, and you're without your leading receiver in Hudson Clement, and you just gotten rid of your defensive coordinator. That was a lot going on for that team to go on the road and find a way to win. So I don't think you just gloss over, oh, it's a good win, nice job, here's what they did. There were a lot of things working against the Mountaineers in that particular game.
Which is why Cincinnati was about a 5-point favorite.
And which is why Cincinnati today has got to be absolutely biting its lip, just bummed out. Yeah. They did not expect that.
Yeah, because that's the third game the Bearcats have had against a backup quarterback. They'd won the other two. So that they were having one of those schedules where some things open up for you and you get some opportunities that go your way. West Virginia did not allow that opportunity to go to Cincinnati.
Saturday, West Virginia will play the Baylor Bears here. It will be the unique 4 o'clock start time. The weather looks good early on. A high temperature on Saturday of 56 degrees, and there's a cloud and a sun over it. So I think they're talking about partly sunny skies, if I'm reading that right.
Well, until
at 56 degrees.
Until the sun sets at 4:12.
We'll have an hour of daylight. Having about an hour of daylight. So let's not look a gift horse in the mouth. So that's what's going on. And then Mountaineer basketball in action. As Brad said, the women have got Pitt and Texas A&M here this week. And men's soccer continues play as we record on Sunday, so that could still be happening during the course of this week. And then, of course, Mountaineer men's basketball against the Pitt Panthers. So a lot is going on. Don't forget, if you'd like to come to our speakeasy in Morgantown somewhere, 100 names will be vetted. You'll get a password to come in and all the details. Go to info@episode800.com.
Will there also be illegal liquor and gambling?
I would hope so.
Okay.
Certainly. I certainly hope someone brings a deck of cards.
Will the police commissioner be there because he's on the door?
I told you, Coachman, get out of here right now. Off with you. I'll bring you right down to the Hoosgow. I told you once, I'll tell you again.
Listen, Flannery. I know you're on the dole.
I know you guys are drinking liquors in there. Get out of here. Three Guys brought to us by Comex Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years.
Where's the hooch?
You got any connection 304 in there? I might be able to bypass this one time. By Gomart. Get a Gomart rewards card. Save on food and fuel. Get that card. Go to gomart.com or download the app. By Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com, the premier pontoon boat dealer in our state.
Hope we haven't offended the Irish.
Nah. By Tudor's Biscuit World. Start your day the homemade way. It's Tudor's Biscuits. I mean, you look at those black and white movies through the years, it's always that. And by Conley CPA Group, providing value beyond numbers. It's Conley CPA Group. We hope that within 5 years, Three Guys Before the Game becomes a legitimate operation. But right now, we're running moonshine. All right, we're out. Thanks to our producer, Ethan. We're back on Thursday to preview. We've got a double preview show again.
Preview Pitt basketball, Baylor football.
You available?
Absolutely.
You're here. We're out. See you.